Hello, my name is Darren, and we are members of something called the International Business Structuring Association, or IBSA. Essentially, it's a network of professionals that serve clients, private clients, so families that are exposed to multiple jurisdictions and they're running businesses, entrepreneurs. So it's not just restricted to tax, even though we're going to talk about tax. It'll be like investment migration, IP lawyers, insolvency, just anything to do with what the family will go through as they cross borders. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to the panel. Jose, you're going to start from your side and introduce yourself.
Thanks everyone to join this, and thanks Darren and Skipper 80 also for our participation. I'm a tax partner in Squire Patent Box based in the Madrid office. I do international tax, even though I could sound partly American. It's my mom's American, my dad's Spanish, and I'm actually probably the only one not talking about US taxes here, but some of the additions around that, which is always great to hear. Everyone living outside of the UAE like myself is excited to come to a place where Texas is a friendly environment for Texas. So you got to stay away of our tax network around how the trends, the difficulties around kind of keeping the taxes low, and especially with the US citizens. So happy to be here and try to contribute to this discussion.
My name is Jimmy Sexton. I'm the founder and CEO of Esquire Group. We provide international tax and wealth planning services to affluent multinational families and help them minimize their taxes and pass their wealth to the next generation in a tax efficient, organized manner.
My name is Vince Trong. I'm based here in Gate West with a company called GSB Capital. I'm from California. I'm an American CFP, so I do financial planning, financial modeling, asset management for clients, and I've been here 16 years now. Are there any legal tax avoidance schemes remaining for Americans whose non-American friends pay no tax? What can we do?
Well, you can give up your U.S. passport like I did.
As simple as that.
But no, unfortunately, unless they change the law, there's not much you can do.
Jimmy, just to add to that, so with all the FATCA filings, the information goes back to US. How many people have actually been caught based on that and asked questions?
Look, I'm aware of one criminal case that's come out of FATCA data. I'm not aware of any more. I think the thing with FATCA, I think all this data just falls into a black hole that's never been mined at all, right? And this is actually one of the things that happened. I don't remember if it was in Trump's first term, or I think it was in the beginning of Biden's presidency, where this was actually one of the priority items that was brought up by the IRS, was that they have all this data and nothing's happened with it. So the data was transferred from the general IRS to the Criminal Investigation Division to basically be mined and start going after people. I haven't seen the results of that. There's obviously been some turmoil, but the thing is, the data's there, right? With AI and the technology that's available nowadays, mining that's going to be pretty easy. And I think a lot of people have gotten a false sense of security over the last 15 years since FATCA became law. And I think it's going to be a rude awakening for many, many people.
But the problem is that, and we see that very often across Middle East, so many Americans, citizens, living here, not reporting back in US, but happily filing FATCA and everything else because they have to, they don't have a choice. And it's, we spend more time filling up the FATCA for them.
I think in terms of Americans abroad, I think there's two very big issues. I think one is, I think you're absolutely correct with this issue. I think there's a ton of Americans that they're filling out their W-9, they're, letting all the FATCA reporting happen, and then not doing the proper filings with the IRS. It still amazes me how many people are completely unaware what an F-bar is, and all the data is going back to the IRS. And I think another one of the big problems is I think that over the past, especially over the last 7 to 10 years, especially, there's been a big prevalence in the marketplace of low-cost tax preparation people in the U.S. that just have absolutely no idea what they're doing. Obviously not there, but it's a very big problem because there's a lot of people coming into this marketplace, a lot of companies coming into this marketplace, and they're advertising the exact same thing as the people that know what they're doing, except, probably 70% of the companies out there don't know what they're doing, and, you're charging super low fees, and, they're also, I've seen so many instances where, a client has come and been like, oh, I hired X and X tax company, they told me this and this and this, and I'm like, well, not true. You know, and so I think these are all I think partially ignorance and partially bad advice is putting a lot of Americans in a very dangerous position.
Just to add to that, I mean, sometimes there's action taken, but we're unaware of the source of the whistleblower, the leak. How did they find out, right? It could be by the FATCA reports, because as you mentioned, it's pretty easy, right? Because we help institutions in Singapore do it, and XML, it just goes straight to the revenues. So one imagines that a human being doesn't really get involved. There's just a matching process. And the task on the services side is to determine, well, which of these do we go after? And they go after, I guess, some headline grabber, big ones. We've seen in tax notes at least there's some guys got caught here, former CFOs and certain whom they deem to be high profile individuals. So it does happen. And now understand that the IRS has on board Palantir. If you know what Palantir is and what they do and how they're founded, you know, I think they have a pretty aggressive arsenal. And even though people aren't being picked up, doesn't mean that the service doesn't know about them. They've just decided to prioritize other people.
Well, I would add one other thing, Dan. I mean, you know, if these guys aren't filing the proper forms, then the IRS really isn't in a rush because the statute of limitations never started running on them, right? I mean, they can come after them 15 years from now. It's just going to be more, I mean, it's like walking piggy banks for the IRS. It's going to be more interest.
Absolutely, yeah.